Welcome to the HCG Quick Tip. What is the Query Designer? Contact HCG at www.harbinger-group.com or 763-785-1028. So what is the Query Designer? It's another SmartView reporting tool. There are many SmartView reporting tools. And it, similar to the SmartSlice, creates an MDX query. MDX stands for Multidimensional Expression Language. And it builds this query. You don't need to know the language. It builds the query via a graphical user interface. And the point of an MDX query is that MDX is a language that can do more things than just the standard SmartView can do. So it can dig a little bit deeper. When you create a Query Designer query, it has a toolbar similar to the SmartSlice. If you understand what a SmartSlice is, if you don't, then view the video on what is a SmartSlice. And it allows you to do dynamic or static member selection, the main point being the dynamic member selection. So if you select the children of product, then you will always get the children of the product, which may be a certain number of products on Monday, but more products on Tuesday. It also allows you to easily incorporate attribute dimensions into your report. If your database has attribute dimensions and you have a hard time getting them into your report, possibly use either the SmartSlice or a Query Designer query. And one of the key things that it does, the Query Designer, it can produce top or bottom X number of results. And once you're done with the query, it is saved with the workbook as opposed to the SmartSlice, which is saved as part of the database connection. So let's take a look at a Query Designer query. First, let me show you the result of a query I've built, and then I'll show you how I built it. This query shows me the top 5 states' sales for colas, the actual sales of colas in the year. So how was it created? Well, first thing, once I run the query, notice that my initial sheet was sheet 1, and when I run the query, it's called sheet 1-report. But how did I create the query? And the answer is I go into Query Designer here. And when I do that, I'm presented with a Query Designer toolbar in which I select what I want in the columns, the rows, and the point of view. And in this case, I selected just simply the measures, sales, cost of goods sold, and margin for my columns. And for my rows, I selected my level 0 markets, which means it's a dynamic selection, which means then every time I run this query, if any of the level 0 markets change, we add a state, we remove a state, then it is reflected in the query. Now you see some other things here, order, top count, I'll get to that in just a moment. I can bring any dimension that I want into the columns, rows, or POV. So if I wanted my products into the rows, I could bring my products and drag them up here to the rows area. And there my products are part of the rows. But I want it in the POV. And notice if I do have attribute dimensions, they're shown to me down here. I can select the attribute dimension I want to include and drag it up to the rows, columns, or POV. Anytime I want to actually run the query, I apply the query. Then there is another point here called the data filter. And notice it's not available when you are displaying the query. You have to go back into the Query Designer. You have to select what you want to do the filtering on, and then go into the data filter. And in this case, I said I wanted the top 5. And I have to reselect, well, top 5 of what? And in this case, I selected the level 0 members of my market dimension. And base the top 5 on what member that's on the sheet already. And in my columns, I have my measures, and I had to select simply between presumably the displayed measures of sales, cost of goods sold, or margin, and I happen to pick sales. And so thus, I have the top 5 from my level 0 market members based on sales. Click on OK. I'm done with my filtering. I apply the query, and there is the query with the top 5 level 0 markets based upon their sales. And when I save this workbook, this query is saved as part of the workbook. And that's the Query Designer. For more information on SmartView, Essbase, financial reporting, those kinds of training questions, give me a call, Craig Messenring, at my email or via phone. Contact HCG via the phone number 763-785-1028 or via the website www.harbinger-group.com, or connect with us on LinkedIn and watch more YouTubes on our YouTube site, youtube.com/HCG University. Thanks for viewing this video.